Well, welcome to another edition of the Buzz Around Texoma, brought to you by Grand Pepe Point and the Point Restaurant. I'm Jason Taylor with B99.7 The Buzz. And our guest this week is someone we have had before, and it's great to have return guests. That's Miss Brina Dutton with the Owen Academy. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing fantastic. Now, you have been busy. Obviously, April is a big month.
It is.
And I'm going to let you tell everybody why that is.
Yeah, so April's Autism Awareness Month. Mm-hmm. Obviously, we live it every day, but this just gives, the community an opportunity to get some insight into what we do live every day and not only create awareness, but acceptance, which is a big deal right now. We've been toting Autism Awareness Month for years now, and it's time for acceptance and advocacy. And so that's what we're excited to celebrate in April. And then also, of course, April 3rd was World Autism Awareness Day.
Right. And so we're talking with Brina Dutton once again. You see her name and where she's from at the bottom of the screen there. I'm going to tell you the Owen Academy, we haven't touched on this yet, but that we're about to. The Owen Academy, the name is inspired by your son.
It is.
And tell him what it does.
Yeah. So Owen is 10. He was diagnosed with autism at age 3. Upon his diagnosis, our developmental pediatrician said, hey, he needs 40 hours of ABA therapy every week. Mm-hmm. And so it's different from speech and OT in that it's not, a 30-minute or an hour appointment every week. It's all day, every day for a lot of the kids on the spectrum. Obviously, that depends on, where they are and what kind of support needs they have. But Owen started ABA therapy when he was 3. And I do know that some people say it's not for their child, and that may be the case for us. It was incredibly beneficial and life-changing for him and for us. One of the big things that Owen did when he was young was he would elope. So he had no awareness of putting himself in danger, no awareness of being in a dangerous setting or situation, no awareness of needing an adult with him. And so when he started ABA 7 years ago, that was one of the first things that they started working on with him was his elopement issues. Mm-hmm. And so that in and of itself was enough. If that was all that we got out of ABA, that would have been enough because it could have been life-changing or life-saving for him. And obviously worked on several other, behavioral issues that he was having, frustrations that he was having from being nonverbal. And so we saw such a huge change in him and simultaneously saw such a huge gap in our area for ABA services because I had to drive him to Frisco every day for 5 days a week. I had a boutique. I closed my store, and that taking him to therapy became my full-time job. And then at the same time, I had started the Owen Foundation back in 2021, so a few years into his therapy. And through the foundation, had so many parents that would reach out and say, hey, I know that your son attends ABA. I've seen your Facebook posts. My child was prescribed ABA by their developmental pediatrician, and we don't have anywhere to go. Mm-hmm. And so 2024, late 2023, early 2024, my husband and I decided to open the Owen Academy. So we have the foundation, which is our 501c3 nonprofit, and that's where we do all the fun stuff, our camps, advocating camps, the Owen Alert Act, which we can also discuss. And then we have the Academy, which is a completely separate business, very similar names, so it does get confused in the community a lot. And I love to take opportunities like this to explain the difference. So the Academy is technically a medical clinic, right? So we provide ABA therapy services for the kiddos who attend the Academy. Okay. And that's been open just a little bit over 2 years. We just had our 2-year anniversary, March 4th of 2026. So everything's going great with that. On that front, we add kiddos to our enrollment as quickly as possible. There's, when you open an ABA facility in an area where there's never been ABA, then you're having to not only train, but certify individuals who come in to interview.
Has that been a challenge?
It has been a challenge. We, again, like if we were in Dallas, you would have people coming to you to interview who were already certified registered behavior technicians. In Durant, that's not the case.
Right.
We do have some avenues we're working with like the local VOTEC on opening an RBT program there. Can't speak too much to that because we're just in the initial stages of it, but I think that it's going to be very promising and it will help us quickly be able to bring in more kiddos for that service. But yeah, we've got to train them, certify them, then get them credentialed with our insurance companies that we take so that they can work with any child in our facility.
And one of the things that if you have not checked out their website, and one of the things that I applaud Brina for is the fact that you are such an advocate for not only the kids but the parents, because obviously we have an autistic child as well, and it was diagnosed early.
Yeah.
And that therapy is so vital.
It really is.
And the fact that you have in the foundation, you have the academy again, which we want to touch on that, and you have the alert, which the work that this woman went through with others to get that done is amazing. And
we're still in the process of it, so we definitely need to get the word out of that.
And push it.
Yes.
But because when you have a child that's in that situation and you're a first-time parent, for example, or you haven't dealt with anything like this, you can feel isolated and alone.
Absolutely.
She has a podcast where they talk about situations. So I didn't want to interrupt you, but I wanted to make sure that we let people know where they can go to reach you on any platform.
Sure. So for the academy, so if you have a child who's been diagnosed, we do not do the diagnosing at our facility. They do have to already have a diagnosis when they come to us. But if you have a child who has been diagnosed with autism and they are in need of ABA therapy, or you're just wanting to learn more about it and come in and talk to our admin staff and our clinical director and BCBA, call us. Definitely. Our website is theowenacademy.com. And all of our contact information is on the website, but definitely reach out and just learn more about what ABA is. And I know ABA's been around for a while.
Right.
So even back in the 80s, 70s even, and it was done very differently than it's done now.
Mm-hmm.
And so at the Owen Academy, we are play-based. So it's a play-centered, child-guided therapy where we teach them and we don't want to take away the things that make them unique, but we do want to teach them how to play with their peers, things that we want to help them cope and enrich their lives, not take away who they are as individuals. So definitely reach out on the Owen Academy for ABA therapy. Yes. And if you're wanting to know about all of our camps coming up, there's a lot of those. And this year is going to be year 5. So for basketball camp, which I'm super excited about, we had our first basketball camp in 2021, right? 2022. Anyway, I know this year is year 5. The reason I know that is because last year, I thought last year was year 5. And even presented this special little medal to the coach.
Uh-huh.
And he goes, "This is so meaningful. Thank you so much. But this is the 4th year, not the 5th year." And I was like, well, it was in advance. Okay?
That's right.
I got it 2 months early. This year is year 5 for basketball camp. Really excited about that. The reason why we started basketball camp is because Owen loves basketball.
Right.
And so I don't know that he necessarily understands the game yet to its fullest extent, but he knows how to dribble really well and throw really well. And if you see Owen without a ball in his hand, something's up. So, or he's having to do therapy and the ball is the reward because, it is a reward-based system sometimes, but he loves basketball. And so that was the first camp. And in my mind, I'm like, hey, if we can do this really great basketball camp every year, that's enough. And that's great. But since then we've added cheer, and this is our 3rd year to do cheer. And this will be our 2nd year to have a co-hosted with FC Texoma soccer clinic, and we're super excited about that. Ben Clarvis is their head coach now, and he will lead our soccer camp, and we'll talk about that one because that's the first one coming up. It's May 30th.
Sure.
And we're doing our camps very different this year. I'm so excited to roll this out because there is such a need for things like this in the community. It's gotten a little overwhelming and chaotic because a lot of the kids that come to these camps have sensory needs And sometimes whenever there's 100 kids at camp and 100 volunteers, because we always make sure it's 1-to-1, and there are 100 basketballs bouncing at the same time, that can be very overwhelming. And so then you start to see a lot of the kids have unwanted behaviors for them. It's just very uncomfortable for them. So as we have grown, we have created some new procedures and things that we're going to do a little differently, put in place where it's we're going to have block times. So your kid can sign up for an hour, right, as opposed to an all-day thing. But that hour is going to be in the full gym with a group of 10 other kids, right? Our max is going to be 15. So it's 10 to 15 kids. Each kid has their own volunteer, and they actually are going to be able to learn basketball skills, right?
Right.
Same for soccer. Yeah. Same. Well, cheer will actually be collective because they put together a little routine that they do, and they all have to be there to do that. But for soccer and basketball, it will be blocked times with more calm, dedicated instructions. And so we're super excited about that. We just nailed down all of our locations. The soccer clinic will be in, all of our camps are going to be in Denison this year, which I'm super excited about because it's a great midway point for everyone in the Texoma community. And we're very thankful to Denison High School that those facilities are available. All Denison schools, because the first one is at Denison High School. Soccer's May 30th, the Denison Indoor Turf Facility.
Yes.
And it's at the high school, and it will start from 9 and end at 2. And we are hoping that registration will be open on our website April 15th. You know how all that goes. So there's a lot of moving parts. Because of our 5K that we just had, we are working on a little bit of a more time, all the focus went into the 5K. And so now we're like, okay, registration will hopefully open April 15th, but it will also close May 15th probably. So it'll only be open for a month, whereas in the past we've had it open for several months. But that said, I think a lot of our kiddos who have come year after year after year, they know they're coming to the camp, and so they will look for it. The very best way for people to know about our camps and the updates is honestly to turn your notifications on for the Owen Foundation Facebook page, because we'll create events. And then that's where we're going to post everything. Obviously, they can always go to the owenfoundation.org, right? But the Facebook page is where we'll make those, weekly posts. Yeah. And so, hey, turn those notifications on so that when we create a post and put some new information out there, you get that notification for it.
And we're talking with Brina Dutton. I tell you what, stick around. We'll come right back. And when we do, we'll wrap up. There's a couple more things I want to touch base with her on the Owen Academy. All right, welcome back to the Buzz Around Texoma, brought to you by Grandpappy Point Marina and the Point Restaurant. I'm Jason Taylor with B99.7 The Buzz. Our guest this week, Brina Dutton, and again, with the Owen Academy, with the Owen Foundation, and so many more things going on. Now, she touched on several events. Now, before I go on, I want to refresh this.
Sure.
They can go to the foundation Facebook page to always find out what's going on.
I would go to the Owen Foundation Facebook page. You can always visit the owenfoundation.org. And I also realized I don't think that I mentioned the dates for the other 2 camps.
Yes.
So real quickly, I'll just say those dates so you can jot it down in your calendar and then come back to the foundation page. But soccer will be May 30th and basketball will be June 20th and cheer will be June 27th.
Fantastic.
No. Cheers June 20th.
Okay. Cheers June 20th.
Basketball's June 27th.
Okay.
I knew I was going to get that backward because we actually went back and forth several times.
Right.
So put those dates down and then visit our Facebook page.
So you'll find all that on the Facebook page. Now, one of the other things I want to touch on real quick with Brina is something that you are continuing to work on, and that is the alert system.
Yes. So I actually looked back to see when we started working on this, and I actually talked to Senator Angela Paxton. This was so random. I ran into her and her husband, Ken, at the time, and this was just like, it wasn't a formal meeting. Some girlfriends, a small group of us were celebrating our birthdays in 2021. We were at a restaurant in Frisco and realized that we were the only people in the restaurant. And it was like during lunchtime, really busy, right? And we look over and my best friend's mom was with us. It's all 3 of our birthdays and around the same weekend anyway. And she goes, I think that's Mike Lindell, the MyPillow guy, right? I think that's Mike Lindell sitting behind us. And so I look over my shoulder and I'm like, it is Mike Lindell. Oh my gosh. And he was sitting with Angela and Ken Paxton.
Gotcha.
And so we're big Mike Lindell fans, and he was going through some things, political things at the time. And we just wanted to go over and say hi and introduce ourselves and let him know that he had our support. And, for what that was worth, he had our support.
Right.
And we went over, introduced ourselves, and then Angela and I got to talking about autism and our efforts through the Owen Foundation. And I told her, I said, Angela, we need, and this was in Texas, of course, we're right on the border, so we're working both states all the time. But I said, Angela, we need an alert system for when children on the autism spectrum go missing.
Right.
And it needs to be an immediate response alert system. So not only do we need that, we need training for all of our emergency management personnel, police officers, firefighters, anyone who is going to be searching for these children. Right. They've got to search water first. By the end of the conversation, she and I were both in tears. And I didn't even realize that was 2021 until I was working on getting this in front of the state legislators and looked back at our conversation on LinkedIn and realized that, because I had followed it up with a conversation with her and had realized that we started talking about this in 2021. Wow. And so probably, I think late 2024 is when we actually really put some more work into it. And we started a petition on change.org. I should have checked that before I came in today. I feel like we're a little over 8,000 signatures, which is a big deal. Right. Because the only way we've promoted it has been on Facebook. And then just recently in the last month, I've had a couple of news interviews. It got shared on some larger stations. And so when it got shared on the larger stations and got those mentions, then we started getting a ton of signatures. Because this truly isn't anything that anyone disagrees with. It right. doesn't matter if you're red, it doesn't matter if you're blue, or somewhere in between. Everybody wants to take care of our kids. Right. We do have a few people who come on and say, oh, great, another alert. And I'm like, go touch some grass, okay? I'm just going to be honest. Like, go touch some grass, right. Because we're talking about kids Absolutely. Who don't have an awareness of putting themselves in danger. And we need to protect them.
Absolutely.
And my son needs protected. Mm-hmm. And your child needs protected.
Absolutely.
And it doesn't matter the age. The initiative would cover any age of any child who had not only autism, but any kind of intellectual disability. And let me tell you how the Owen Alert Act is different from, say, the Amber Alert. Right. Okay. Typically, the Amber Alert is if the child has been abducted and it doesn't go into effect immediately. Mm-hmm. By the time an Amber Alert would go out, our children would be drowned. And I hate to say that and be so blunt about it, but it is the truth.
Right.
Typically, children who are on the autism spectrum, if they elope, they find themselves in or near around a body of water. And so water safety is a huge issue, right? But that rapid, immediate response alert would allow those trained, and by the way, it's not mandated in the state of Texas or Oklahoma for EMS, fire, police to be trained with autism, like, to know about how to approach someone with autism, where to start. That's not mandated. One, it needs to be mandated. Thankfully, we live in the Texoma community where I know we have facilitated training for the Sherman Police Department, and their chief made it mandatory for all 80 officers to go through this training. And I think that speaks volumes of just how much our community cares about, the safety of our children. So it's a big deal for us to push this. It needs to be pushed. There is a separate Facebook page for this. And again, I do think that's one of the best ways to get it out on social media.
Can they digitally sign at that?
Yes, you can. And it takes about 6 seconds because it just asks for your first and last name and your email address.
Okay.
It's not shared. It's just a petition. And here's why we need the signatures on the petition. So not only to show people how big of a need it is, but if I take this to Congress in the state of Oklahoma, state of Texas, the more signatures that we have, the more attention it's going to get whenever it's in front of the right people. Right. So I would love to have 20,000 signatures by the time it gets in front of the people it needs to be in front of. And I'll be honest with you, there are other initiatives out there like this. Mm-hmm. I don't care if it's called the Owen Alert. Mm-hmm. There are other states, I think Kentucky maybe, or Louisiana, that have the Ian Alert. That's great. And it serves the same purpose. Other states have initiated that, and it can be initiated on a state level, but we need something nationwide. Right. It doesn't have to be the Owen Alert, but I'm going to push it, right? I'm going to push it. And if another alert that serves the same purpose gets committed to before the Owen Alert, then that's great, because problem solved, right? And so that time from when they go missing, when they elope, to when they're found, we've got to create a smaller window. And so what happens is that alert goes out, and then a neighbor gets it, and they see that it's in their area, and they have a pool. They're going to go look in their pool, right? They're going to go look in their pool. They're going to go make sure their gates are locked. And then people in the community can get out and help. And everybody who lives there is going to know where the bodies of water are, and they're going to check those first. Right. And so it's devastating, and it's weekly that you read about a child on the autism spectrum who goes missing, who is found deceased in a body of water. And if there are actions and steps that we can take to keep that from happening, then we should be taking those, no matter what side. Like I said, no matter if you're red or blue, we should be taking those steps.
Where do they go to sign this?
Yeah, so go to, again, on Facebook. And if you don't have Facebook, for those of you who might not, they can go to change.org and just type in the Owen Alert Act. Okay. And then I'll give you the link as well that you can put here. But so we have a Facebook page specifically for it. It is called the Owen Alert Act. Okay. And the change.org post is pinned at the top. Okay. So they can just open that post, click the link, put their name and their email address, and they've helped. So
we're going to put that at the below our end of the comments area, I think. So you'll see that.
Thank you.
Here on the podcast. One last thing before I let you go. Sure. Let you plug this real quick, because she has on top of all the other things she does, she has her own podcast as well. So you may want to check that out. Tell everybody what that is.
Yeah. So Mighty Moms Podcast we call it a worldwide cult of autism moms, but dads can listen to, and they can be in our cult. And, if you look up the word cult in the dictionary, I don't have the exact definition, but it is a group of people who have a passion for the same thing. Yes. And I can't think of a better word to call it, because that's truly what we are. And we stick together for the most part. We stick together, and we advocate for each other. We advocate for our own kids, but I'm going to advocate for your kid too. Absolutely. And so we talk about everything from, well, I won't mention it on here because there's a lot of things that we talk about. But you can download our podcast on any podcast platform. If you want to watch my podcast co-host Dee Dee Gallegos and our facial expressions and our things that go to YouTube. Right. Go to YouTube and look up Mighty Moms podcast. And we are not pros by any means, but and it's a work in progress. I think we have
it's part of the charm.
It is. And I think that's what makes it, real for other moms to watch. And there may be times where we show up and we're in our leggings or pajamas or whatever, and we maybe weren't feeling it that day. But then when we leave, we feel better. Right. And we think, our viewers must feel that too. Like maybe they weren't in the mood to listen to a podcast, but they turned it on. And then by the end of it, they just felt this sense of community. And that's why we do it. So
it's great. Mighty Moms Podcast. Look it up. All right. Hey, we want to say thank you once again, Brina. I know you are so busy, but we love to have you on the show.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Again, that is Brina Dutton with the Owen Academy, the Owen Foundation, Mighty Moms Podcast, you name it, she's there. Check it out. All right, that's going to do it for us. We want to say thank you once again to Grandpappy Point Marina, also the Point Restaurant for sponsoring the Buzz Around Texoma. Until next week, take care.